Hello, Fire community. This is Snakysour, your mod, and welcome to our brand new channel. We are launching this space as an aid and a voice to build upon the discussions happening across our FIREIndia Reddit communities and also the related platforms. Our goal with this channel is simple: to help you understand, plan, and live the financial independence retire early lifestyle, especially in the Indian context. However, before we proceed, I would like to present to you a disclaimer that I personally am not a registered financial advisor by SEBI or by any such authority, and also whatever content that we are presenting over here is not to be construed as a financial advice. Please take it in the form of financial education only. So let's start this concise wiki video by understanding FIRE. FIRE has an acronym with two stages. FI stands for financial independence, the freedom to live comfortably on passive income without depending on a traditional job, whereas RE means retire early, but of course, it's optional. Many continue working on passion projects even after reaching FI. FIRE isn't about escaping work, it's about gaining freedom of choice. So now a natural question comes: why pursue this path? Why do people actually choose this journey? This is because it offers time sovereignty, the power to actually design your day. It provides financial security, builds resilience against uncertainty, and promotes intentional living, aligning money with your deepest values. Of course, what it also results in is that you gain career flexibility. You can always have the ability now to say yes to opportunities and no to obligations. Money doesn't just buy things, it buys time, choices, and freedom. Now that we are clear with the objective, let's also try and clear up a few common myths about FIRE. Myth number 1: you need to have a massive income to FIRE in India. In reality, what matters more is your savings rate, not your salary. Even if someone is earning 50,000 rupees and saving 60%, he or she can reach FI faster than someone who's earning 2 lakh rupees and saving only 20%. Consider it this way: if you have a 50% of saving rate, then that means that for a conventional retirement, your 1 year of work is equals to 1 year of leisure, assuming you've started working at an age of 30 and are retiring at 60 with a life expectancy of 90 years. However, if you increase this saving rates to 75%, then that means your expenses are already reduced to 25%, which means that your 1 year of work is actually equivalent to 3 years of leisure life in your retirement. This is of course only possible if you're investing in inflation meeting or inflation beating instruments. The second myth is that FIRE means hating work. In reality, it's not anti-work, it's pro-choice. You choose what kind of work fulfills you. You can do the work which you are really passionate about rather than being in an overworked, stressful environment. Myth number 3: it requires extreme frugality. In reality, it's not about being frugal, it's about mindful spending. You don't have to deprive yourself in your life in order to achieve FIRE. You just have to be very careful where you're spending. There are many versions of FIRE which I'm sure most of you know or would have at least heard about. They can be lean FIRE, fat FIRE, coast FIRE, or barista FIRE. The option is the one which actually fits your lifestyle. You can choose which is the one that is actually going to do the same. Now let's try and understand the math of financial freedom. However, before we dive into this, there is one truth that we must all be aware of. FIRE is part math and part mindset. In fact, if I may say so, the mindset part is actually a bigger one. Now, if we see a 10% savings rate, then in that case, it might take us approximately 50 years to reach independence financially. If we take a 50% rate, then in that case, it can actually cut down the time required to FIRE to about 17 years. And if you increase this to 70% savings rate, then in that case, you would be free financially in less than 10 years. The key formula is simple. Savings rate is equals to income minus expenses, and the difference is being divided by income. Do note that for people who are pursuing FIRE, the mindset should be such that your expenses should be income minus savings and not the other way around. What I mean to say by this is that your focus should be to first do the saving or pay yourself first, and then get into the expenses part, only with the money that is left from your income after the savings. Do remember, every extra percent saved buys you more time and freedom from stressful work. Now we get into the most elusive question. How much is actually enough for me to FIRE? Now, while this can be debated based on what your personal needs, expenses, desires, or lifestyle choices are, there are a few thumb rules which can be used just to begin with. The step 1 would be to honestly track your expenses on a monthly level for at least 3 to 6 months so that you can extrapolate the same to your annual expenses. On top of it, you should also add as to what are your annual expenses, which happens once a year. Step 2 is the 4% thumb rule, which was basically designed by a Trinity study in US context, wherein you can multiply your yearly expenses by 25. That's your FI number. However, when it comes to India, we have a high inflation country. So for us, it's rather better to use a much lower withdrawal rate, which can be say to the tune of 3 to 3.5%. For example, if you spend 12 lakh rupees per year, then your FI number is about 3 crores, which is basically 12 lakhs multiplied by 25. However, from an Indian context, assuming 3.3% as the withdrawal rate, your FI number would be 12 lakhs multiplied by 33, which is approximately 3.96 crores. What this means is that from this 3.96 crore corpus, if you have invested the same in inflation meeting or inflation beating instruments, then you can withdraw 3.3% every year in India, which would equal to again 12 lakh rupees per annum, or its inflation adjusted nominal value. With the accumulation phase now done and dusted, let's understand withdrawal and safety strategies. Once you have reached financial independence, how do you basically ensure to make it last? We have something called as a safe withdrawal strategy, wherein you withdraw about 4% of your corpus in US context or about 3.5% of your corpus in Indian context, adjusted for inflation, and we combine it with the bucket approach. Now, what this bucket approach means is that you divide your corpus into 3 buckets. First being the short-term bucket, which comprises of cash and liquid funds for about 3 years of your immediate expenses. The second being medium-term bucket, which comprises of PPF, EPF, or corporate and government bonds for next 3 to 10 years of your expenses. And then long-term buckets, which is basically for your equities for about 10 plus years later expenses which are arising. Now, what you have to ensure here is that you do periodic rebalancing as and when you move ahead in your retired phase. Together, these buckets ensure that they give you stability, flexibility, and peace of mind. Now, we must understand that we are making all these efforts so that we can invest for our independence. But there is one enemy which is always lurking in the background, called inflation. Inflation quietly eats away your wealth. So investing therefore remains non-negotiable, and the same also has to be something which either meets or beats inflation. To achieve that, your portfolio needs both growth as well as stability. For growth, you can use asset classes such as equity. For stability, you have debt. For hybrid and alternative investment classes, the objective remains to provide a balance to your portfolio. And in order to achieve global exposure, using global exposure platforms like stock markets of US, UK, Euro, or Japan, China, etc., you can also ensure that there is diversification from a geographical perspective. Over time, a diversified portfolio compounds quietly but powerfully and ensures that it is able to beat inflation in real terms. So, what one must always focus upon is to design their portfolio based on their own personalized risk tolerance and time horizon. Again, another simple thumb rule exists, but do note that these thumb rules are only for guidance and should actually be taken with a pinch of salt. Having said that, the rule states that whatever is your age, you can invest that much percentage in debt or safer instruments and the remaining in equity. So for example, if you're 30 years old, then you can keep 30% in debt instruments and 70% in equity instruments and ensure that you rebalance the same every year so as to maintain the same balance. Small and consistent actions today, like avoiding lifestyle inflation automating your investments, and reviewing your process regularly ensures that you have massive freedom tomorrow. Perhaps this is the most important concept of everything that we have learned so far: the FIRE mindset. FIRE isn't just a math problem, it's a mindset problem. It's about intentionality. What this means is that you choose how to live and you do not follow the crowd. What this means is that if you have a mindset of being a minimalist, that is, you have minimal expenses, maximum freedom, and wish to live location independent lifestyles, then maybe Lean FI is the option for you. However, if you are somebody who's looking for comfortable lifestyle with largest corpus requirements for luxuries, travel, and flexibility without any budget constraints, then that means you would look for Fat Fire. If you're somebody who wishes to save aggressively to begin with and then let compounding do its work, then your mindset is more attuned to Coast Fire. Or if you're somebody who wants to work part time only to manage their current expenses and let their portfolio keep on growing without having to withdraw from the same while you're working, then in that case, your mindset is more synced with Barista Fire. Hence, whether you're Lean Fire, Fat Fire, Coast Fire, or Barista Fire, the goal remains the same: to have the financial freedom and control over your time. Remember, work becomes optional, not mandatory. Now, let's wrap up what we have learned today with the following key takeaways. The first and the most important is that earn more. This can be through your job, through new skills, through side hustles, or career growth. The second being spend less. Cut ruthlessly on what doesn't matter or improve your quality time and quality life, and instead spend freely on what brings you joy. Third, invest wisely, diversify, and ensure that you're consistent. If required, automate your investments. Design your life intentionally, not by default. Remember, every financial decision that you make today is a vote for the life you want to create tomorrow. Because in the end, it's your money, your time, and your life. With this, I'd like to conclude by saying that thank you for watching this video. If this video helped you understand FIRE better, especially from an Indian perspective, then do like, share, and subscribe to support the channel FIRE with Snaky. Remember, it's not just about retiring early, it's about living freely. Again, this is Snakysour, your mod, signing off. Regards.